How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado. Welcome to, or hopefully back to the channel. Got a great one for you today. Where should I live in Denver if I'm single? Let's do it. And listen, as much as I love being out in this beautiful weather and creating what is hopefully an entertaining video for you, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker in the state of Colorado and would be honored to be a resource to you in any way, shape, or form I can. So that number and email popping up below, I'm always the person answering the phone calls, answering the texts, and answering the emails. I'm talking to people every day about the excitement of moving to Colorado. Can't wait for it to be you. Now that we have that long-winded part out of the way, let's talk about where you should live if you're coming to Denver single. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had a little fun with this video. Obviously, I lived in Denver a lot of my life, and many of those years have been single. My fiance wouldn't like me to tell you that I miss those days, but every now and again, I'm kidding. I had 5 neighborhoods for you, but I just can't stop at 5. I gotta give you a 6th. I think I saved the best for last, so make sure you stay tuned to the end for that. But we're gonna start with neighborhood number 1, and that is Cherry Creek. Now, Cherry Creek in general is one of the most desirable neighborhoods to live in Denver, and it doesn't take very long to figure out why. It's got the extreme walkability, it's got the parks, it's got the beautiful houses, luxury, whether it's single family, condos, townhomes, apartments, but it's got everything you look for as a single person just getting out and about. It's got restaurants and shopping and cafes and bars. It's got places where you can mingle and be around people. And Cherry Creek also happens to be one of the most networked areas in the city. It seems as though every other meeting is held in Cherry Creek. So you are going to run into all sorts of professionals, all sorts of different walks of life, and just a variety of people. Cherry Creek is one of the biggest mixing pots. And let's face it, sometimes when you're single, you get sad. And when you get sad, you gotta go shopping. And there aren't very many communities where you can do more shopping than you can in Cherry Creek. It's literally all around you. All right, so number 2 on my list is a combination of 5 Points, AKA RINO, River North, I'm gonna call it 5 Points, and lower downtown Denver, or LODO. So the reason I combine these two is that they're side by side. So while they have different vibes to them, they will also have some similarities, and they are amongst the favorite neighborhoods for people getting out and about. So as a single person, you've got some great apartments, some great condos, some great townhomes. If you're looking single family, you are going to lean more towards the 5 Points area. You've got newer construction areas, you've got a lot of history. But if you're talking about getting out and about, and at the end of the day, that's what we're kind of talking about here, you've got all the restaurants, the clubs, nightclubs, you've got the restaurants, you've got the cafes, and you've got people socializing everywhere. It has that ultimate single vibe. In fact, up until about the last 6-7 years, if you were going out in Denver, you were going out in lower downtown Denver. It's just recent that neighborhoods such as 5 Points, has become more popular for people to visit. So as you're out and about, you're not gonna beat those types of neighborhoods. So when we're talking about 5 Points, you're gonna see along Brighton Boulevard, which I'm gonna show you some B-roll of now. You're gonna have places like The Source, you have a lot of breweries. And then as you get farther into RINO, you're gonna run into the art district, where you're gonna find all sorts of restaurants, all sorts of bars, all sorts of eateries. It's a great mixing pot, a great place to just be out and about and enjoy yourself. And in lower downtown, LODO was built around the ballpark, around Coors Field. So you're gonna see that the closer you get to the stadium, you're going to see construction like McGregor, which is a beautiful new apartment building right across from Coors Field, has a lot of restaurants and bars inside of it, and then just strips and rows of bars and nightclubs and restaurants. There is a limitless amount of things to do in LODO and in 5 Points. Again, I combine the two because I feel as though doing one and then the other is kind of cheating you a little bit. They're very close. They neighbor. You take a 2-minute scooter ride to one or the other. If you got in an Uber in LODO to go over to RINO, 5 Points I should say, you're gonna get a weird look from the Uber driver. They're gonna take you, but it's gonna cost you $6. You better tip it. So area number 3 for me is Cap Hill. Now, might give it away, but Cap Hill or Capitol Hill is pretty close to the Capitol, and you're in the heart of downtown. So it's running from Colfax down to Broadway, over to 7th Avenue. Pretty large area, and Cap Hill kind of has a little bit of everything. It's got a lot of restaurants, it's got a lot of bars, it's got, you're right up against Cheeseman Park, so you've got the parks, the outdoor area to be around, playing volleyball with the kids, whatever you want to do. And by kids, I mean your friends or people you're trying to date. But Cap Hill is one of my favorite historic areas. It's just got a great vibe to it, and it's got that downtown living feel to it. Now, as you drive the streets, you might think to yourself, you're gonna see apartments and you're gonna see townhomes, but you're also gonna see a lot of single family homes. Just to give you a heads up, a lot of those are old Victorians that have been converted into apartments. So even though it might look like you have a lot of individually owned properties, in fact, what you're seeing is places where there are 2, 3, even 4 renters in a given house. That really reminds me of the East Coast. I lived in Connecticut while I was in the Navy, and you would see that a ton in those communities. You see that in Cap Hill. It's also, a lot of that is in historical districts. So you're not going to see a lot of changes to those homes, I should say. That's part of the reason that you're not gonna see places knocked down and rebuilt down at Cap Hill. It's protected historically. Among your favorites, while it's not actually in Cap Hill, you're gonna wanna hit Broadway. That's one of the local favorites. Just a strip of bars and nightclubs along that, as well as great restaurants. And obviously you have Colfax right there for the same thing. So lots to do in Cap Hill, lots of ways to get out and about, to see people, to frolic. If you go on dates, you don't have to go more than a few blocks from your house. So if the date sucks, you can escape and get back to your house. All right, so jumping ahead and trying to use still the same arm for this selfie stick is Sloan's Lake. Now, I love me some Sloan's Lake. I admit I lived there for 10 years up until the beginning of this year, and Sloan's Lake has really just become a great neighborhood. It's always been a great neighborhood, but it's really developed into a great area for a variety of reasons. Sloan's Lake is obviously, well, I shouldn't say obvious, but if you Google, it's the only body of water of any decent size around Denver. It's only 2.5 miles around, but it's just a great park. Great walkability. It's the type of place on every day of the week, but Saturdays and Sundays, you're gonna see that park filled. People walking around the lake, people playing volleyball, softball, kickball, anything with a ball, you can name it. It's got playgrounds for kids. I know we're talking about single people, so you can ignore that part, but Sloan's Lake itself is one of the great hangouts in town. You're gonna love it. It also has just a great community feel now. So over the last handful of years, what used to be St. Anthony's Hospital along Colfax has become a huge Sloan's Lake complex. So now it is townhomes and condos and restaurants and bars and some shopping. It's got some gyms in it. So it's really its own little epicenter. It's got an Alamo Draft House. If you've never been to an Alamo Draft House, it's a movie theater where you kick back. They bring you beers and food, whatever cocktails you drink if you're not into beers. It's fabulous. You just want to watch movies all day. Sloan's also has 25th Avenue, which is right on Sheridan and 25th, I should say. It's a great strip. It includes Joyride Brewery, one of my favorite breweries, as well as EDGEWATER Inn, which has amazing pizza by Denver standards. There is a bee on me about to say. I digress. You also have EDGEWATER Inn, which by Denver standards has, I believe, the best pizza in town. A great place to try out. The Sicilian, oh, forget about it. And listen, when I talk about Sloan's Lake, I'm going to include EDGEWATER, same way I do when I talk about LODO and 5 Points, because a lot of what you like about one is going to bleed into the other. and they're neighbors. You're gonna flow from Sloan's Lake into Edgewater naturally. So Edgewater along 25th Avenue off of Sheridan, you've got some great bars and restaurants, including Joyride Brewery, one of my favorites. Oh, and did I mention that Sloan's Lake also runs directly into Mile High Stadium? So my house used to be on the other side of Sheridan on 17th Avenue. I would literally walk to and from Bronco games. It would take me about 30 minutes to walk that distance. I don't know, I'm fast or slow, I'll let you judge that. But Mile High Stadium is right there. So you've got all the bars and restaurants and the festivities of Bronco games, as well as all those concerts, things like that. Sloan's Lake is a terrific place to be, whether you're single or when you find your magic person, kids, family, I don't know. Whatever you want to do, Sloan's Lake has got you. It's one of my personal favorites. All right, number 5 on the list is the Highlands or West Highlands. One of my favorite areas in town. I've never lived in the Highlands, but I have spent enough time to fill lives. So the thing that I love about the Highlands is it's like its own little subsection within its own little subsection. Like there's different neighborhoods within the Highlands to hang out. You never seem to run out of things to do. So it has all the living styles you could want. If you're looking for apartments, condos, townhomes, plenty of single family options. You've got older historic homes, you've got new build, you've got a lot of remodels, you've got some duplexes there that give you all the square footage of a single family home and yet lower the price because you're sharing one wall. You can't hear people anyway. And then you have, as far as Denver goes, I believe one of the best sets of bars and restaurants. It's not really nightclubby, I'm not gonna tell you about that, but when it comes to restaurants, you've got everything. You've got sushi, you've got Latin food, you've got Italian food, you've got all the foods. And as far as bars, you've got places like Avanti's, which mixes a lot of great food trucks, a lot of variety of food that comes in and out, as well as a great night spot. And Avanti has one of the best views of downtown I think you're gonna see from anywhere. Right across the street from that is Happy Camper, which has become one of the most popular hangout spots in Denver, especially during warmer days like this. It's fabulous for that. Get up the street, you're gonna run into bars like Recess, which is a great outdoor area. Great indoors as well, but great outdoor. Dogs are allowed. You've got Postino'S Wine Bar. You wanna talk about the most ridiculous happy hour ever. And Postino's has a couple locations, but I'm gonna tell you, their happy hour beats anything you're gonna find, including $5 pitchers of beers. Let's just say that Postino's has been responsible for a few of my days going sideways, but I've never held it against them one bit. Then as you get farther into the Highlands, so keep in mind, the Highlands stretches all the way from the Millennium Bridge, so LODO, all the way west to Sheridan. So it's a big strip of land. So when I talk about those different pockets of neighborhoods, the other neighborhood I would talk to you about is on the corner of 32nd and Lowell. So along that strip, you're gonna see a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars, a great ice cream place called Sweet Cow. Get the oatmeal cookie. It's a miracle. Even if you're not into oatmeal cookies, try it. And then you've got some great coffee shops and shopping, including one of my favorite bookstores in the world, and Soulshine, which is a great metaphysical, I'm gonna do it a disservice. It's my friend's shop. I love going in there. It's just that place where you balance your energy and all that good stuff. I sound pretty clueless right now, but that's all right. Soulshine, check it out, it's on 32nd. The Highlands, like a lot of these neighborhoods we're talking about, is just a huge melting pot. It's a place where not only the people in the neighborhood come out and network around, but you have people coming into the Highlands from all over the place. It's one of the most popular destinations. And you're gonna see that you're gonna get a lot of flow from Edgewater and from Sloan's Lake coming into the Highlands. I should also mention one last neighborhood in the Highlands that kind of runs out of the Highlands and into Sunnyside and into Berkeley is on Tennyson, running up 38th and heading north up to 44th into Berkeley. That strip of restaurants, bars, shops, a lot of local businesses, a lot of independently owned places there on Tennyson. A great neighborhood for you to check out. I could ramble about the Highlands for several minutes, but I'm sure by now you've probably skipped ahead to the next section, so let's just do that. All right, so I told you instead of 5, I was gonna sneak in a 6th, and I just had to because it's one that a lot of people, I think, outside of Denver and even people in Denver would be surprised that I include on the list, but that is Glendale. So Glendale is just southeast of Denver, and it is Not really a hidden spot, but it's just a small community. It's literally about 8 blocks. It has some very strange borders to it. Why do I include Glendale? Well, one, if you Google it, you're going to find this statistically, the vast majority of people who live in Glendale are single for whatever reason. But it's also a great community of apartments, condos, townhomes, and all the things that, in my opinion, single living is about. It's got your restaurants. It's walkable to your restaurants, to your breweries, to your bars. It's got a lot of parks. It has Infinity Park, which is where the professional rugby team plays, as well as where everybody seems to hang out on the weekends. They got a lot of movie nights over there. You should check that out. And let's see if I get in trouble for this one. Glendale is also extremely popular for Shotgun Willie's, which is one of the most well-known gentlemen's clubs, strip clubs, whatever you want to call it, in Denver. It's located right off of Colorado Boulevard in Virginia, so you can't miss it. Colorado Boulevard is one of the most traveled roads in Colorado. You pass it. Fun fact about Glendale and about Shotgun Willie's is that the mayor of Glendale is actually married to the owner of Shotgun Willie's. Or you could just say he is the owner of Shotgun Willie's, but I think technically he's just married to the owner of Shotgun Willie's. He also lives in a castle, but that's another conversation. So if that tells you anything about Glendale and how wild it can get, it's there. Also to keep in mind, Glendale has been talking about a Riverwalk project for years and years and years. But again, I've seen the renderings and it looks like an incredible opportunity. So if you have an under the radar location you want to check out, Glendale, Colorado is one of them. So there are my 5 neighborhoods. Oh, I snuck in that 6th on you. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Would love to hear which one is your favorite. And there's only one way to do that. So once again, the number and email popping up below. I am always the person answering those phone calls, answering those texts, answering those emails. Would love to be a resource for you in your move to Colorado in any way, shape, or form I can. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am Jimmy Everetts. Until next time, peace.